Assalamualaikum and hi everybody. Today we are going to talk about suicide. What is suicide? Suicide is a leading cause of death. Suicide is a death caused by injuring oneself with intent to die. A suicide attempt when someone harms themselves with any intent to end their life, but they do not die as a result of their action. WHO estimates that approximately 1 million people die each year from suicide. What drives so many individuals to take their own life? To those who are not in the grips of suicidal depression and despair, it's difficult to understand what drives so many individuals to take their own life. But a suicidal person is in so much pain that they can't see no other option. Suicide is a desperate attempt to escape suffering that has become unbearable. Blinded by feelings of self-loathing, hopelessness, and isolation, a suicidal person can't see any way of finding relief except through death. But despite their desire from the pain to stop, most suicidal persons are deeply conflicted about ending their own life. They wish there was an alternative to suicide, but they just can't see one. Many factors can increase the risk for suicide or protect against it. Suicide is connected to other forms of injury and violence. For example, people who have experienced violence, including child abuse, bullying, or sexual violence, have a higher suicide risk. Being connected to family and community support and having easy access to health care can decrease suicidal thoughts and behavior. Suicide also affects all ages. It is the second leading cause of death for people aged 10 years old until 34 years old. The fourth leading cause among people ages 35 years old until 44 years old, and the fifth leading cause among people ages 45 years old until 54 years old.
Suicide occurs when a person chooses to end his or her life. According to the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, in 2019, suicide was the second leading cause of death among children and adolescents aged 13 to 19 and the leading cause of death among 13 years old. It is the 10th leading cause of death among all world. Research shows that suicidal thoughts and behaviors are the greatest predators of suicide. These include passive thoughts of wanting to be dead, recurrent thoughts about ending one's life, plans and behavior that result killing oneself, and suicide attempts. According to 2019 statistics from the CDC, 8.9% of high school students surveyed attempted suicide and 18.8% of high school students seriously considered attempting suicide. Research showed that up to 90% of people who have died by suicide suffered from a mental illness, impulsivity, and substance use, including alcohol and drugs. Also are warning signs for elevated suicide risk. It is important to remember that suicidal thoughts and behaviors are not the natural consequence of serious life stresses. People who experience a stressful life even may feel intense sadness or loss, anxiety, anger, or hopelessness, and may occasionally have the thought that they would be better off dead. In most people, however, experience of stressful life events do not trigger recurring thoughts of death, creation of a suicide plan, or intent to die. If any of these are present, it suggests that the person is suffering from depression or another psychiatric disorder and should seek professional treatment.
So, what are the solutions to prevent a suicide? When talking to a suicidal person, you must be yourself. Let the person know you care, that they are not alone. Finding the right words are not nearly as important as showing your concern. Next, you must listen to them or your friend. Let your friend or loved one vent and unload their feelings. No matter how negative the conversation seems, the fact that it is taking place is a positive sign. The third one, be sympathetic and non-judgmental. The suicidal person is doing the right thing by talking about their feelings, no matter how difficult it may be to hear. Next, take the person seriously. If a suicidal person says things like, "I'm so depressed, I can't go on," ask if they're having thoughts of suicide. You're allowing them to share their pain with you, not putting ideas in their head. You should not argue with the suicidal person. Avoid saying things like, "You have so much to live for," "Your suicide will hurt your family," or "Just snap out of it." Don't act shocked. Lecture on the value of life, or argue that suicide is wrong. The next thing you do not do to the suicidal person is blame yourself. Like, you can fix someone else's depression, your friend or loved one's happiness, or lack thereof is not your responsibility.